I am currently stuck between seasons in Bag End, and it is a bit miserable. However, it does give me the opportunity to record the third video on my series on Respect 10 items or Commander Unique Equipment, whatever you want to call them. This video will be about good faction Tier 3 commanders, so if you want to know, in my opinion, which ones are worth investing in, stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. As you can see, none of my Tier 3 commanders are anywhere near Respect 10, so my opinions are going to be based on reports that I have seen from other players, as well as just my general theory crafting knowledge of this game. We'll get things started by talking about Galandriel. She is a commander that has a pretty wide range of good skills, which means getting extra skill points on her by taking her to Respect 10 can be a very good thing. It's particularly useful because it lets you start investing in the White Council tree in the case that you are fighting evil side commanders. This is normally a tree that she has trouble taking at lower levels of Respect because she really wants to be putting skill points elsewhere. As for her unique item, it's the File of Galandriel, and it has Lady of Light, one allied target. I don't know why they have a parentheses S there. One will never be plural, but anyway. One allied target recovers HP when Galadriel deals focus damage. As it turns out, Galadriel is very consistently dealing focus damage. I don't think she does any physical damage at all unless you give her a weapon with cleave for some odd reason. The army HP elves is kind of wasted because you're probably never going to be running elves on her as they are not particularly tanky. And Galandriel is, at her heart, a damage-dealing commander, so you want to give her something like Cataphracts or Guardians. It has a reasonable amount of focus, but this is actually less focus than the Fine Smoking Pipe, which I believe is a base of plus 21 focus. However, Lady of Light pairs up very nicely with Ring of Water, which also hits one allied unit. So very frequently you will see Galandriel running things like solo Guards of the Tower, mono Cataphracts, mono Guardians, just depending on what kind of gear she is running and what you're fighting against. So it pairs nicely with Ring of Water, gives her some extra healing, and a pretty respectable amount of focus. Plus, she can use the skill points. I don't think it's absolutely game-changing for Galandriel, but it is a solid Respect 10 item in my opinion. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about everybody's current flavor of the month commander, Gil-galad, however you say it. This guy is an absolute monster with elves, particularly because of Kingly Kin, as well as High King and Elven Leader. All of these are very powerful skills. Super high damage dealing commander, able to snowball off of the early rounds. He gets Aglos, I think I said that correctly. It has Might, Army Attack, Army Defense, and every single time an elf unit performs an action, they recover HP. The drawback of using this is that the Elven Wife Knight has a base of plus 2 attack, which means it actually goes up to plus 6, whereas this is only going to go up to plus 3. So you are trading a bit of raw damage output for some extra healing as well as some defense. Whether or not that is worth it, I'll leave that up to you. I think both are perfectly viable options. And in part, it's going to depend on what other equipment you have on him, as well as if you're purely going for the Kingly Kin play, or if you're taking the White Council route. If you're purely going for Kingly Kin, I think that healing is less worth it, because this gives your units a chance to evade damage. And in order to heal damage in this game, your units must have taken damage. So if you're not taking any damage in those early rounds of combat, you're not going to heal at all. However, maybe it could be useful for the cases where people bring Pursuit. Now, an absolutely game-changing, amazing Respect 10 item in my opinion is Gandalf the White and his Galandrial. I think if I was going to pick, personally, if I was going to pick any one Respect 10 item for a Tier 3 commander to invest in, it would be Galandrial, and I will explain why to you guys in just a second. It gives Might, Focus, Army Attack. Those are all perfectly fine. And back to the Shadow. After the commander attacks, you deal 10% physical damage once, and 10% focus damage once. Plus, it has this little bit about if the enemy army has orcs, you get to take less damage. That's not super applicable, as most people these days are running evil men commanders. I guess if you're fighting like a Sunind, it would have orcs there, or you're going to be running into Witch Kings running Uruk-hai. Anyways, the reason this is so good is because of how much better Back to the Shadow is than even Mind Split. So you're going to attack 10 times in a 10-round combat, obviously. This is going to go off every single time, which is a total of 20 extra sources of damage guaranteed. The reason that is important is because the white, after the commander deals damage against one enemy target, you have a chance of dealing an additional amount of focus damage. So the way I think Gandalf the White is played optimally is really building around this skill here. I mean, he has plenty of good skills. White Rider is super nice. Surge on him is actually nice. Blindside is definitely worth 1 point. Magical Barrier is amazing against good factions, and White Council is obviously amazing against evil factions. However, the reason that Galandrial is so game-changing is 20 extra sources of damage will come out to be approximately 10 extra procs of the white. Now, if we compare that to, let's say, something with Mind Split, this is after the commander attacks, you have a 50% chance of dealing extra focus damage. That's only one source of extra damage, and it's only a 50% chance. So in a 10-round combat, you're probably going to get 5 of these Mind Split procs. And if we compare that to the purple option in Carver, for example, Smite is only a 35% chance to go off, meaning in a 10-round combat, on average, you're going to get 3 or 4 extra sources of damage. And just like we talked about a minute ago, Galandrial, I'll go ahead and pull it back up. Galandrial is 20 extra sources of damage, which is a lot of extra damage on its own, especially because this thing goes up to 60% physical and 60% focus. That's a pretty respectable amount of damage on its own. But more importantly, it gives you so many extra procs of the white. This lets Gandalf the White play as a true hybrid commander, in my opinion, where he can be dishing out upwards of 100,000 damage on his own, while his likely cavalry army, because of horsemanship, his cavalry is going to be dealing, 150 to 200k damage, depending on what you're fighting against. So it just takes him kind of to the next level and just ups his damage output that much more. That's it, in my opinion, as far as Respect 10 items go. I do want to give a quick shout out to Elrond, as I think he's an underappreciated commander, and I think this has a lot of potential. It has HP for elves and attack for elves, and every single time that he does damage, he hits everybody, all enemies, really not everybody, doesn't hit his own guys, all enemies for extra damage, and it has Pursuit. Pursuit being a very hot commodity right now with so many Gil-galads running around. But that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something useful. Catch you in the next one. Phoenix, over and out.